Breaking news, after completing the signing of Marco Correa, Real Madrid are now supposedly just about to start entering negotiations with Chelsea for one-away superstar midfielder Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea have supposedly entered negotiations to sign Juventus left-back Cambiaso. A Chelsea content creator has a special announcement to make. Chelsea have started making inquiries over Everton superstar Ndiaye. Breakout World Cup superstar from Morocco Ayoub Bouadi is also subject of interest from Chelsea, and many deals to be done with Real Madrid, potentially because Chelsea are looking at one of their left-backs. Welcome, Blue Believers, to another episode of the Stamford Sync, where we are syncing up with everything Chelsea FC, and we've got a veritable boatload of transfer news to get into today, so let's just go. Heist posted this via Ben Jacobs. Breaking: Real Madrid are keen to understand whether Chelsea's asking price could drop or concessions could be made on the structure of a deal that will come close to the British transfer record. Enzo Fernandez has made it clear he wants to leave. So Enzo Fernandez wanting to leave Chelsea is the worst kept secret in football this year, and it totally makes sense. So I'm not surprised they didn't do what they did with Correa and just snap him up, because 120 mil was a lot to spend, and you can see how much they are rebuilding their team at the moment, albeit a lot of them are on free transfers, loads of them are on huge wages. They've got Konate on a free, they got Denzel Dumfries for 20 mil, they've signed Bernardo Silva on a free, they've given Antonio Rudiger a new deal. They're going absolutely wild in the transfer window this season, so it would make sense to say that they are not instantly looking to just drop the 120 mil on Enzo Fernandez, but I imagine that Chelsea will stay resolute on that being the overall asking price. Heist also posted this via Ben Jacobs. Jose Mourinho's priority in midfield is now to sign Enzo Fernandez. Chelsea will point to the fact Perez said he had 150 million euros to spend on a superstar and will try to stick with their asking price of 120 mil. Real Madrid are now set to open formal talks. So look, I'll be honest, I do just kind of want it to happen at this point. I think there's so much water under the bridge. Like, I don't want to sell him for less. So I just really hope it goes this way. Do you know what I mean? I don't want us to sell him for cheaper. I would be happy if there were players to be included in the deal as well. There's loads of really interesting Real Madrid players like Arda Güler, Carreras, Aurelian Tchouameni would be excellent for our midfield. There's loads of players at Real Madrid right now that would make excellent additions to the Chelsea squad, and ones that Xabi Alonso already knows from his time working there. But after what feels like weeks and weeks of will they, won't they, and then them coming out of nowhere to snap up Marco Correa, it feels like the wheels are finally in motion to see Enzo Fernandez on his way to Real Madrid. Heist also posted this via Fabrizio Romano. Chelsea and Real Madrid could discuss Enzo Fernandez after Correa deal. They have a good relationship, and we need to remember Chelsea because they control the price. Let's see, one to follow and watch. So evidently, Jose Mourinho also has a good relationship with Chelsea, so maybe there's something in that as well, where it's like, it's not a case of Real Madrid coming in and stealing our players. Like, a good transfer relationship with Real Madrid is not a bad thing at all, especially when you consider they seem to have tried over the last few seasons to move into a more system-based sort of structure with buying young players. They've got a lot of young players in their team at the moment, but what you can instantly see from Jose Mourinho coming in is he's like, no, I'm done with that. I want experienced players, get me experienced players, and that's exactly what's happening at the moment. So what there may well be at Real Madrid is a lot of young players who might not get a huge amount of minutes under Jose Mourinho. And let's be honest, as Chelsea fans, as much as we all love Jose Mourinho, for the most part, he wasn't Mr. Develop the Youth, was he? Like, that's just kind of not his thing. You don't bring Jose Mourinho in to build you a project that will develop over time. You bring Jose Mourinho in for the most part because you want to win right now. And Jose Mourinho is very much get me what I want and I will win you stuff. So if he sees Enzo Fernandez as a vital cog in that, sort of system and team that he's building in order to get instant success at Real Madrid, that probably works in our favour, because they will want to give Jose Mourinho what he wants. And it looks like they already are. Like, they are completely, like, they're linked with like Ruben Diaz as well. Like, it is not slowing down anytime soon. They are absolutely going in. And you can't bring in this many players without having to get a couple out. So like I said before, there's a couple of young players at Real Madrid, the likes of Arda Güler, Carreras, although not a young player, like I said, Aurelian Tchouameni, fantastic, absolutely fantastic midfield option. Eduardo Camavinga as well. Lots of really interesting players at Real Madrid who potentially could be used in make weights and swap deals in order to facilitate this deal. Either way, it's starting to feel like it's going to happen, and it was never going to be like it was with Marco Correa, was it? At the end of the day, it was never just going to be bam, there it is, Enzo Fernandez for 120 mil, because of the nature of the deal. And obviously it's not even just since he came out and talked about it in the international break. Enzo Fernandez to Real Madrid rumours have been going on for like 2 seasons now, like a really, really long time. It is not new, it is not news. It always felt like that was the next step in his career, that where he wanted, and there's always kind of been some admiration from Real Madrid for Enzo Fernandez. And even without Jose Mourinho being there, the club seemed to admire the type of player that he is. and with Jose Mourinho, if he is pushing for him, then you would have thought that's probably what's going to happen. And like I say, for me personally, I just kind of hope it is. I really want to know what you guys think about this in the comments. If you could have a Real Madrid player in exchange for Enzo Fernandez, who would you want? And do you think that we'll get the full 120 mil for it? And guys, if you've made it this far into today's episode of the Stamford Sync, please do me the distinct honour of liking and sharing the video, subscribe to the channel, or just roast me in the comments, whatever gets you through your day. Right, so with Marco Correa gone, a lot of talk at the moment is about left backs. It looks like we're going to bring one in, so let's talk about the next piece of news. Transfer News Live posted this via Gazzetta, which is a big Italian sport outlet. Chelsea are in negotiations to sign Juventus defender Andrea Cambiaso. The Blues could offer Nicholas Jackson as part of the deal to help reach an agreement with the Italian club. Juventus value Cambiaso between 35 and 50 million euros, with discussions focusing on a player plus cash agreement and interest from other clubs. So largely what we've seen about Cambiaso at the moment is he would be interested in staying in Italy, and if not, he's got his eyes firmly set on Barcelona. 50 million euros as a max isn't actually a huge amount. I mean, you know, you've got to bear in mind we sold Cucurella for 60, right? So if we get a Cambiaso in, albeit maybe not quite as good as Cucurella at the moment, he's 26, he's got 3 years left on his deal. He had a relatively good season at Juventus. He wouldn't be my first choice. I really like the look of Maxi Araujo, albeit the issue there is the discipline stuff, but he looks like a really good player. I'd love to see Grimaldo in. Obviously, Lewis Hall would be a fantastic option, albeit really, really young and going to be very expensive. Either way, I'm not unhappy with any of the left backs we're linked with, and if we did end up with Cambiaso, although he wasn't my absolute 100% preferred choice, I would be happy to see him in. What I'm not sure about is the Nicholas Jackson inclusion. So if it was a player plus cash agreement, surely that goes in our favour, because we're not selling Nicholas Jackson for 35 to 50 million euros, are we? I wouldn't have thought so anyway, bearing in mind attackers are more valuable than defenders in general. And also Nicholas Jackson is younger, so, you know, I would have thought that means that we'd get Cambiaso plus cash for Nicholas Jackson. I don't love it though, because personally I would like to see, despite him not exactly tearing up trees at Senegal in the World Cup at the moment, I would like to see him given an opportunity, and just to see if Xabi Alonso is interested in using him. I would like to see him in rotation with João Pedro, not coming back to be our number 9 and our starting striker, but also I'd like to see him given opportunities out on the left wing as well. I think there's potential for Nicholas Jackson to still reach another level, right? And this is the thing, like, what we remember about Nicholas Jackson is the misses and the, you know, the bad performances and the red cards and stuff like that, but what also was there was a good Premier League player at the end of the day. 14 goals in his first season, 12 goals in his second season, despite being injured for a really long time. Really good link up with Cole Palmer, versatile player, still relatively young, 23, 24, like he's not, you know, old player by any stretch. He's got a couple of years before he gets into his prime, and I'd be interested to see if he's the kind of player that Xabi Alonso thinks he can do something with. But either way, I wouldn't be upset to see Cambiaso come in. I think I like the idea of going for a left back that's a little bit older, because what we're losing in Marco Correa as much as anything is that age and that experience, and also then it gives us another season or two to figure out whether Yoro Hato is going to be the first choice left back, or if we're going to end up playing 3 at the back and we need to look at a future left wing back option. So next up, we've got an interesting announcement from a Chelsea content creator. Talking Chelsea posted this, teaming up with the Stamford Sync for a brand new Chelsea podcast. New episodes every week covering all things Chelsea. Trailer just dropped, sneak peek below.
Because it's Chelsea and things are crazy. This one's a bit wild, you know.
He's supposed to be a professional goalkeeper for a top 6 team.
Forest don't want to sell him. No. Right now, ugly football wins, and he's prepared to do it.
If Tonali goes to Spurs, anything is possible.
Please get rid of this guy.
Uncle Tyson? You want to get rid of Uncle Tyson?
Who are we going to get? And I'm like, do you know what? You make a good point. He wants to move to sell him. It's as simple as that for me. Sell the guy, bro. Like, just sell him. And well, I'm a little bit nervous. I'm not going to lie.
It's like inviting trouble, isn't it? Hot takes, really.
That is my hot take.
Ooh, that is a hot take. That is a spicy take.
I hear it. The way you framed it does make it a hot take.
Oh, mate, that is very counter to your hot take. It's like the polar opposite of your hot take.
Wow, okay.
Yes, guys, I am starting a podcast with Jay from Talking Chelsea. It's going to be called the Talking Chelsea Podcast. It will be coming out every single week on his channel. We're going to be doing long form content talking about news. We're going to be doing things like keep loan sells, tier lists, blind rankings. We're going to have some fun with some stuff, and we're going to talk about some Chelsea hot takes, which will be coming from ourselves, other Chelsea content creators, and you guys from the community. The first episode drops tomorrow at 9 o'clock, so go and check it out and let us know what your hot takes are in the comments. Right, next up, we're going to get back into the transfer news. And Transfer News Live posted this via the Cy Phillips Sport Substack. Chelsea have made an initial inquiry over a potential move for Iliman Ndiaye this summer. The Everton forward has emerged as a high priority target for the Blues after an impressive campaign, while Manchester United, Manchester City and Arsenal are also monitoring his situation. Everton are under no pressure to sell Ndiaye, contracted until 2029, and are expected to demand between 65 and 75 million for the Senegal international. So, I wouldn't be upset to see Jackson and Delap out and Ndiaye come in at the end of the day. He's had a great season with Everton and he's looking like the better choice for Senegal up front at the World Cup at the moment. Really, really interesting player. It's going to be very expensive though. I haven't seen I've checked out a few of his stats and stuff, and I've seen a few highlight reels and stuff, but I haven't been following him really, really intensely this season. But I really like what I see. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Is he a good enough player for Chelsea? Is he worth 65 to 75 million? And would he be an upgrade on the likes of Nicholas Jackson or Liam Delap? I mean, everyone's an upgrade on Liam Delap, let's be honest, but just let me know what you think anyway. Next up, we're going to talk about breakout World Cup star Ayoub Bouadi. Chelsea have stepped up their interest in Ayoub Bouadi and are now pushing hard to win the race for the Lille Wonder Kid. The Blues are determined to beat several European heavyweights to the midfielder's departure this summer. Bouadi's stock continues to rise after his impressive World Cup display for Morocco against Brazil, with Arsenal, Liverpool, PSG and Bayern Munich also monitoring the 18-year-old closely. Lille are expected to demand a huge fee for one of Europe's brightest young talents. So look, this kid looks great, man, and obviously, I think there was interest in him even before the World Cup, but since the World Cup, obviously it's, kind of exploded there. £60 million plus for an 18-year-old, sounds crazy. That's kind of in and around what we spent on Esteban Willian. It's kind of in and around what we also spent on Giovanni Quenda, and the World Cup is just a platform for these players to introduce themselves to the world, isn't it? So for me, he looks great. Really, really like the look of him. But for 60 mil, I don't think that's the thing we need to be doing at the moment. Also, there's been a few PR stories coming out recently saying that Chelsea will be spending less time going in for young talents in the summer window, and we're going to generally try and focus on players that can automatically improve the first team. Not saying that he wouldn't, but we've got a load of players and a load of youngsters knocking around already, and we do need to focus on experience. He might look fantastic now, but there's always going to be another one as well. Don't get me wrong, the kid looks great, but also when you look at potentially who we're in battling with him for, Arsenal, Liverpool, PSG, Bayern Munich, it doesn't necessarily scream that we'd win that battle, especially if you think about how the situation has gone with a lot of the youngsters recently. Obviously, Esteban Willian has, gone from strength to strength and had a good first season in the Premier League. Giovanni Quenda is going to be the story of this season in terms of youngsters, but there is a litany, an absolutely enormous list of youngsters that we have bought, although very few for this kind of money, that have just not kicked on and done well. Vis-a-vis Kendry Paez, for instance, there was David Datro Fofana, David Washington. There's so many youngsters that have come to Chelsea and not done well this season. Although I do expect Blueco to go out and buy more players like this, I think it's not the same ballpark when you're talking about an 18-year-old for 60 mil. Like I say, that is an Esteban Willian, and where we are at the moment, we've got money to upgrade the squad, but we don't have money to not upgrade the squad. Now, if you're going to buy a player like this, who's going to struggle to get game time, or you're going to ship him out on loan or something, for me, this isn't the season to do it at the end of the day. I'll be really interested to see what you guys think about this in the comments, but for me right now, I think we have to kind of avoid these kind of players, and they will come back around at the end of the day. Maybe not this player in particular, he's probably going to go to one of the big guns because there's lots of people interested in him. But this is the nature of football. These players arise all of the time, and what needs to happen is, if we've got 60 mil to spend on an 18-year-old that won't necessarily get straight into the first team, you bank that and you spend it on someone that will. Xabi Alonso needs to be backed. Xabi Alonso needs reinforcements to give him the best opportunity. If we're going to lose Enzo Fernandez, Fernandez. We're going to need to make sure that we get a good replacement for him. Same with Marco Correa. Other players are probably going to go out. We need to buy a centre-back. We need to buy a left-sided forward. If we are going to sell the likes of Liam Delap, Jackson, Omega, also supposedly not 100% guaranteed for a position at Chelsea this season, the only actual striker we've got at the moment is João Pedro. So despite having 5 strikers on our books, we looked at Ndiaye already today. That might be another situation that needs improving this summer. So as interesting as it is and as exciting as it is always to see a youngster like Bouadi, especially one that's a breakout player at the World Cup, Chelsea need to keep their eyes on the prize, right? And the prize is boosting and bolstering Xabi Alonso's squad for the upcoming season. And I think we can do that the absolute best without getting sidetracked by 60 million 18-year-olds. And the last piece of transfer news we've got today comes from Cy Phillips Sport as well. Transfer News Live posted this: Chelsea are exploring a move for Alvaro Carreras after Marco Correa's switch to Real Madrid. The Blues have registered an interest in the Spanish left-back as they assess potential replacements following Cucurella's departure. So Carreras looks really good, and there's a bit of a weird one though. Supposedly Jose Mourinho has come in and is actively saying, I'm probably not going to use this kid. The best thing you can do is sell him. Also, Jose Mourinho will want more money for his war chest in order to go out for the likes of Enzo Fernandez, for instance. So Carreras does look like a really interesting player, and the link specifically that's interesting to Chelsea is Xabi Alonso brought him to Real Madrid and played really well under him. So he is very young, but he did play well under Xabi Alonso at Real Madrid. Obviously Cucurella is a very different profile, and obviously you would have thought Jose Mourinho sees Cucurella as the kind of ready-made Galactico style player that he's looking for to have at his Real Madrid team. Carreras is going to need time and development, which is why, like I say, for me in that left-back position, I personally would like to replace Marco Correa with another slightly experienced left back or left wing back, the likes of Andrea Cambiaso, the likes of Maxi Araujo, the likes of Grimaldo, which seems to make the most sense. It's weird that we're not seeing links. He's only got a year left on his deal. His output was absolutely outrageous, and he acts as the perfect buffer to give us a season or two to identify who we need for that position in the future. Carreras, Lewis Hall, these really young guys look fantastic. They really, really do. But at the same time, do we need to, it's like what I was just saying, like, do we need to add more really young players into the first team at the moment? Now, at the end of the day, we're not just talking about a 17-year-old from Kazakhstan, a 19-year-old from Brazil, a 20-year-old from France. We're talking about a 21-year-old playing in one of the best teams in the world at the end of the day. Real Madrid, albeit they didn't win the league last season, he was part of that first team. He was playing well, and he has played at a high level in the Champions League, in La Liga. So we're not talking about exactly the same thing. Like, he's youth with experience at the end of the day, which is, that's a really, really good thing, and probably top level experience compared to the majority of the left backs that would be linked with Maxi Araujo, Grimaldo and Lewis Hall. Yeah, cool, Champions League experience. They've all got that, which is great. But so has this kid. So maybe there is something to be said in that. Either way, it feels like whatever's going to happen with the left-back situation is going to be really indicative of how Xabi Alonso is going to play his football. If we end up going for a Grimaldo, then it feels like it's going to be that 3 at the back, because that's 100% what Grimaldo is kind of good for. I wouldn't necessarily consider him to be an excellent left-back based on his defensive stats. Carreras is more of a left-back, but maybe could play that wing-back role as well. To be fair, maybe it's not as indicative as I thought, because Cambiaso and Maxi Araujo both have good output and good defensive stats. So maybe they could both play that role as well. So guys, let me know what you think. Carreras, he looks like an interesting player, but let me know. I'd really like to know what you think about the profile, the age profile in particular, of the sort of left back that we want to go for. Should we go in for an older player, 26 and above, like your Cambiaso, your Araujo, or your Grimaldo? Or do we take a risk on a younger player like a Carreras or like a Lewis Hall? I'd really love to know what you think. Let's chat about it in my comment section. And that's it, guys. We're going to start wrapping it up there, but I want to know whatever you think about everything we've talked about today in the video. Enzo Fernandez, feels like it's starting to happen. The reports are coming out thick and fast from different places saying that Real Madrid want Enzo Fernandez. Supposedly the issue is about how the deal is structured. Like, they're probably not going to want to drop 120 mil straight away on an Enzo Fernandez. They'll probably never sell him on, so I wouldn't expect something like a sell-on clause, but is it going to be something like a player swap, something like that? It's seemingly clear that they want the player. Obviously the player wants the move. We all know that for 100% sure, but is it going to happen? Are they likely to just drop the 120 mil, or what do you think that structure could look like? Liam Delap being courted by Everton, which is really interesting when you consider that we're interested in Ndiaye. Could there be also some sort of swap deal to be done there? Supposedly we're negotiating for Cambiaso, and although, like I said, he's not my top pick, he does look like an excellent left back. The Talking Chelsea podcast launches tomorrow, and I can't wait for you all to see what we've been cooking up. As I mentioned before, it looks like the Chelsea have made inquiries for Ndiaye, and I do think that's an interesting option for a forward, but it again blows open the door about what we're going to do with the other 4 strikers on our books. Ayoub Bouadi looks like a fantastic player, but there's going to be a lot of competition for him, and at 18 years old, for that kind of money, I really just think we need to be focusing on experience and upgrading Xabi Alonso's first team. And could a player like Carreras be involved in the Enzo Fernandez deal from Real Madrid? Nice one, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around until the end. If you did, I'll catch up with you all very, very soon. Take it easy. Peace.